I'm not putting in an intro. We're just coming on, and I have to do this anyway. You are live. Okay. Well, let's check and make sure that I am live. Okay. I think I know what to do. So with StreamYard, they're the only ones where, you have to. Well, wait a minute. I guess I can't do it. All right. Never mind.
Ooh, hot flash incoming. Woo!
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Happy Mother's Day. 55 and hot flashes abound.
Live. Okay. Remove that. Oh, that's what I have to do. Then do it again. Then put paste and save changes.
It's not like Twitch where you can just launch it.
Yeah, no. That's another thing too. I was going to use Twitch. A lot of I have a social media guy now, and we picked up a CPA. But it's ridiculous. How you doing, Dr. Shonda?
Hi, Dr. Shonda.
Hey, sweetheart, how's it going?
Good. How are you? Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
I just told Papa Dukes, I said, 55 incoming hot flash right now. So if you see me taking off my glasses and wiping my face, woo, it's hot.
Mine is crazy. Mine's come and goes in the middle of the night.
Oh, yeah.
The worst ever. So I'm just like, oh, God. Okay, I'm sorry. TMI, maybe that was...
No. I mean, it's really strange. I'm so happy to at least be involved in these conversations and can sit back. I was raised in a house full of, well, first off, my whole thing is maternal. I was just around a lot of, so I got to see and hear a lot of conversations and realize, wow, you all are wicked. But I love it. Holy cow. And I learned not to be on the wrong side of a woman's ledger. Okay, so never. I got stories. Oh my God, I got stories. I just want to wait to get a couple more people on, and stuff. Yeah, I've got stories. I was just talking to a friend yesterday, and it was a group of, we have our little male bonding sessions, good brothers, and one brother was new to the group, and I'm like, wow. He talked about his relationships, and I have only had one major relationship, marriage. That was it, one in my life. Man, these guys had combined 100 relationships between 8 or 9. Yeah, it was like one had 6 baby mamas. I'm like, have you not learned your lesson? Between my nephew and his wife, they're the Black Brady Bunch. He got 4, she got 3. 2 of the 4 boys that he has are from her. And I'm like, every time I'm talking to him, I got the Brady Bunch theme in the background, but with more soul and funk, And that's a lot of relationships to have, to be in, and, but I love them. They get the support and everything, but Uncle Mike loves you, but goddamn, y'all couldn't take a break. There is this thing called condoms, but we used to call them prophylactics. What is going on? Stop. But the house is beautiful. They're raising beautiful kids. My niece-in-law is amazing. She's just incredible, very powerful. I'll tell you, one thing is this society has produced strong Black women. I'll give you that. And strong women in general, because y'all got to do so much bullshit. I've been single for so long, so I feel like I just came out of a cage, even though my daughters stayed in touch with me, keeping
It's
me.
crazy. You show you I grew up, I'm an 80s girl, like so for me, I'm, product of the late 60s, 70s and 80s, drinking out of hoses, running under the
Yeah.
fire hydrants,
Sorry.
not
Hold on.
coming home when the street lights were on. I don't know if you remember Grace Slick and David Bowie and all them. Do you know where your children
Oh.
are? I
Oh yeah.
still remember that. And I think to myself now is why did strangers need to tell our parents, do you know where your children are? But I feel like, I feel like we've all, it didn't kill us. I feel like it made us stronger, but it saddens me sometimes. Like my grandkids, like their out is controlled, they don't just run up and down the streets like we used to do, back in the day. It's a different time. And I feel like we have, because of social media and because of so much that's on the television, we don't just have 7 channels anymore. We've got several hundred. And information is easily abound. We now know we know what we knew back then, but we didn't really have to talk about it. And now it's just in your face with stuff. So
It's
I
true.
gotta tell you, uh, my mom is trying to get on, and I told her and sent her the link, and you got on. We're all, pretty sane. Hold on for a minute. Hit the link in the calendar. Jeez.
tell her she's going to have to make sure she clicks
Yeah,
join the room. I feel like she popped up twice already, I feel like.
she did. She's right here in chat, but I'm on YouTube as well. I have it multiple streamed right now.
Okay. All right. Makes
So,
sense.
which is so cool. Um, but it didn't go live over here on Instagram. So let me do it one more time.
She'll get here. We
Yep.
always figure it out. We
Yep.
always figure it out.
Always.
If there's one thing that we moms can do is we can figure it out.
She's amazing. My first friend ever, probably my spiritual guidance, she has been probably, she taught me what not to do in relationships.
You know what? I feel like moms, at the end of the day, if you can't be honest with your kids, like, I don't know, Dr. C, if you got the same thing with your parents, right? Did you have to learn a lot of stuff on your own because your parents didn't really have those conversations with you, like, don't do this. It was more like, don't do this because I say so, right? But not so much the, hey, let me give you information. Where, like, with my kids, I was like, you ask me a question, I'll be honest with you. You may not like my answer, but I'm going to always be honest and transparent with you. And
Right.
I feel like as moms and as parents as a whole, if you're not teaching your kids, right, they're going to go out there and they're going to do the things that you just tell them not to without the understanding of why. It's kind of like if a kid gets in trouble, you don't put them in their room and not tell them what they did wrong. You explain to them why they're being punished or put in their room, and and this is why this is happening. Otherwise, I feel like you get the, in my essence, it was the all-girl Catholic schools. You were told not to, don't have sex, don't get pregnant. And a lot of my friends were pregnant by the time they were 16 because they were never given reasons why not to do it. They were just told not to. And then you get to that point and you're like, you're curious, right? Everybody at 15, 16, especially as women, we start getting like super curious. So my thing was,
I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was going to say my experience was from a woman who worked nonstop to provide for 4 kids. It was, she was a nurse, a registered nurse, and with the demands of 4 kids to feed them, she was just always working. So for her, it was not that she didn't want to teach us, it's that literally she couldn't be present because She had to provide a roof over our head and make sure we had food to eat. And that's where, the dynamics of motherhood changes a lot, especially in our culture where an older sister or your siblings come together and you kind of like pull together this like connection and this internal hierarchy. And she would tell us what she expected of us. And then it was up to us to actually implement whatever she said. And if we didn't, there definitely was consequences. But I wish I had the time. She's passed now, and we just, we didn't have the time together when I was young because of just being poor. So I think that for all the mothers out there that do have like the opportunities to spend with their kids and have those moments that are lessons and choose to parent the way they parent. I definitely feel like, it's a blessing for them to be able to do so, but not all parents can because of our circumstances. And I
Correct.
think she's here.
Yes,
Yay.
finally,
Mama
Mama
Dukes.
Duke. Jesus Christ. They're just stealing my name. Anyway,
I agree.
I
I think in that situation I was a latchkey kid. My mom, was up working all the time, working on the weekends to make ends meet. Um it was definitely something that the rules were you get home after school, you get your homework done, do your chores, and so there was a respect for how hard my parents, both my mom and my dad, worked. My dad was the night shift guy. He was home when I got home sometimes, but usually not. His shift started at 3 o'clock, but so by the time I got home, like I said, I was a latchkey kid, and that was from like kindergarten on. And here I was with a kindergarten. I had a key, the key around the neck on the shoelace and letting myself in. But I feel like as I hit my teenage years, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you have an opportunity to have people over your house." And I said, "Absolutely not." Like, my mom and dad worked very hard to pay the mortgage and to pay bills. And so, I tried to do my best to understand that, yeah, consequences were not fun. If I got in trouble, there were some consequences. But I would try to do my best to have, things prepped for my mom. She came home and she never stopped. She came home, she after taking transit home for an hour, she would get home and then she would, SEPTA was not friendly, but I don't think SEPTA was ever friendly in Philadelphia. But
no.
by the time she got home, it was like close to 7:30, and then it was cooking dinner. And at that point, then I was getting showered and ready for bed for school for the next day, and it was the rinse and the repeat. But it's crazy because kids nowadays, I feel like I'm going to be that old woman who says that the kids nowadays, they just don't get it, but I really don't think they do. I feel like there's not an understanding of how
Well,
hard we as parents work.
what it is there's a sense of entitlement they have
Mhm.
that we did not have when we grew up. We were left to our own, we were left to, take care of ourselves while our parents had to go take care of us.
Right.
So, you know, uh, I I know my mom had to do the same thing, and the realization of becoming a parent really doesn't hit you, I think, until once those kids start walking and talking, and and for me, it didn't kick in for my first child until like she was like 2 or 3, and I'm like, oh my god, I've got to prepare this human being to be a viable asset in the community, any community that they live in.
Right.
Thank you, Adam. But this is Papa Dukes of the OG Social Network podcast. We're here for Mother's Day edition, just speaking with some great people. And I got to tell you, it's been a beautiful year. We at the OG Social Network podcast enjoy our guests, and I just wanted to do a little something today to send some love and enjoy I saw my mom, Dr. Joan Cartwright is on, Mama Dukes, Dr. Shonda Macias. I love you. You're just amazing. We're going to do so much together this year. And my dear, dear friend and sponsor, Don Morris of Proteus 420. I also like to thank my other sponsors, Green Spectrum, Myers Security, Gordy's Goodies, and of course, New York City Cannabis Exchange. With we're producing a commercial for them next week. We're doing a shoot at Flushing Meadows, Corona Park for their commercial.
Oh, that'll be fun.
On Friday the 16th. Rain date is the 18th. So we're sending out, for volunteers, and let's come hang out with us. And they'll be fed and, have a nice little barbecue, and they'll be a part of a commercial. Very diverse, Memorial's Day, unity, everything. But the theme of it is remember how we used to have our family cookouts and the cousins would go and sneak off and smoke their weed. Well, they don't have to do that anymore. Now the OGs are smoking with you as well. What's up? We have cousins. What's up? Let's do this. Right? So, we are very excited about the future, about what we're going to be doing with 3 companies. Actually, we developed the 3rd company, which is our marketing and public relations firm. We'll let you know about all that. But the Canna Farms tour kicks off June 18th at Canna Cure Farms. We have them committed. We have Hudson Cannabis committed for 2 dates. Canna Cure Farms is going to be every 3rd Wednesday of the month through October. Hudson Cannabis is August 6th and September 15th. And we're going to have Hepworth Farms involved, Green Spectrum. We got so much going on. The commercials that we're producing for New York City Cannabis Exchange, nice. Thank you, Mimi. You're amazing. Picking up new business and, being thankful that my mom and I are here at our age, because I got to tell you, I believe in, I'm not religious, but I do believe in guardian angels, and I do believe in ancestors looking over us. And I know we've had some times where the ancestors like, God damn it, I got to leave heaven again to watch these motherfuckers. To protect them, now they're getting rest.
Today's their rest day.
But no, because we got our act together. My mom and I were talking about this a few months ago about, look where we've come. Look at all of the adversity and self-inflicting trauma we brought on ourselves in many cases, the wrong decisions that took us too far left or right. We're back on our path again, and my mom, I got more gray hair than her, it's ridiculous, right? She gets her vitamin D two ways, she's awesome. She's awesome. A doctor in communications, teaches college. Are you not a doctor in communications? What's your doctorate in?
Business administration marketing.
Okay,
I love it.
Yeah. So, but she's expensive. So,
as she should be, all that education, right?
She has, major contracts that are like consulting contracts that are on par with actors, Hollywood actors,
Really?
I love
So, yeah. You have to have your pool boy, your munchies,
Okay, I need to change careers if we're getting pool boys.
Her massages, she
Yes.
doesn't stay at anything less than a 2-star hotel,
Never.
Hey,
would do
mental
that for
health,
you, though.
mental health and wellness are a really big thing that I think that moms really need to make sure that they take care of themselves. Because you know what, it's I don't know if you ever watched the show Schitt's Creek, but Moira
Yeah,
Rose.
yeah. I
Put
love
your
them.
mask on. They tell you on a plane to put your mask on before you service anybody else. So you got to take care of yourself before you start taking care of other people.
Well, I saw this reel. When I go through my 2 hours of staring at the wall and looking at reels on YouTube, you come across some really funny stuff, but at some times some really great things. And one of them was a father on his phone, and the mother is coming out of a car, having all of this stuff, one child in her hand, all these 5 bags.
Yep.
And then getting another child, and she just fell, boom. And the father's just standing there. She's all right. She's all right. You know, I think women are the ones that carry the true beast of burden when it comes, because men are clueless. We're often, not negatively, it just happens. We don't, but once we get it, no, it's not that we don't care. We're not paying attention to the bigger picture. All right. I look at things in pieces sometimes, which is why I'm single. No.
I think
Yeah,
I don't think guys get a lot of I don't think that men get a lot of love in the situations with this, because the right people, the right men do step up, and definitely it becomes a partnership in the relationship. And I think the misnomer is that it's a 50-50, but it's not. It's 100% by each person.
That's right.
And I think, and I speak as someone, I was married before David, and and it was a 90-10, and I was 90% in and 10% was by the other person, and it wasn't a serious situation. So when the relationship is, the communication is good and the relationship is good, it's 100% on each side. And it's not always perfect. It's work. There's no such thing as perfection in a relationship. There's always ups and downs. And I think that, we get stuck in these Hallmark kind of, or commercial type of notebooky situations where it's all love and it's got to be hard, and it's got to be, or it's bad, or it's good, or there's never an in between. And sometimes you just got to go back and you got to realize is that movies and things are movies, right? And real life is real life. And I think people get stuck in this ideology of what perfection is, and realistically is if both people are working equally towards the benefit of each other, when you get that person, it just comes together really nicely.
Well, I know, like
Okay, it's my turn to
Dr.
talk.
Wait,
She's
now, I'm the moderator here, Missy. I am. Don't Don't let me have to put you on mute. All right, and let me tell you how the dynamic of our relationship has changed. I go visit her a couple of years ago in Florida. She sounds like a Karen right at the cashier, bothering this man. Do we have any paper bags? I had to tell her, now you behave yourself, young lady, and just leave him alone, or I'm gonna have to take you back. And the lady behind me is dying because she's the same way. It's like if I'm dealing with my daughters. So it's Dr. Saunders' turn. Because she has a husband that looks younger than all of us.
Get it.
Very younger.
He's a
Not
beautiful
look.
man. And I want to know, what does she do to keep him so happy as a wife and mother and grandmother?
So, I want to change the subject.
It's Dr. Sandra. You can have your subject, mother. Don't let me have to come down there and put you in the room.
Hush. So, Chandra,
No,
wait. I'm in Louisiana, and it's not legal here.
No, it's medical, right? Louisiana's medical only.
But
correct.
I am kind of about to collaborate with a young man named Craig Lee, who is running for councilman. And I want the two of you to meet. That's what I came here for. To tell you that I want to connect you
wait. Okay,
with Craig Lee.
I told you from day one, I am your firstborn. I don't know what you're talking about, but this is why you came here. What is this?
So now that I've said that, I'm good.
Well, I will tell you that
back
is
to Farm Township. No. Go ahead,
wow. Yes. I did a lot of work in Louisiana. We were able to get a lot of pardons under I think we went from 15,000 patients to 85,000 patients that we were able to get enrolled in the program, just loosening up the regulations and doing all the things. And I've done that pretty much from every state that I've entered into, and set really the model so that those that are also pioneering different states know exactly how to do it. So it's been just a pleasure to see other people now that want to continue to make these strides. And, you know, I will tell you my inspiration has always been, you know, giving homage to the mothers. I just remember some of the first mothers that used cannabis as medicine with their children. And in my role, they needed to find legal sources of cannabis to treat their children. And we would help them leave their home states and go to Colorado to administer their kids' medicine. And then in Pennsylvania, we were able to get the Safe Harbor Act, which allowed them to safely harbor cannabis into the state. So for me, you know, in my energy, I think when I think about the word mother or Mother's Day, it's about a connection that you have with your children, a connection that you have with your community. And because I can relate as being a mother of four, how strong those connections can be. It's for me, it was like, if these children needed medicine, specifically autism, epilepsy, even mental health, I know mothers and their connections would do anything for their children and to make sure they have the livelihood, the viability. And they're an inspiration in my life. They inspired me to do, again, a lot of the work. I started off very early. We called it the Underground Railroad. And it was a different Underground Railroad, literally. And, you know, it was hard. And even with all the strides that we made, we still had some major setbacks, like parents having their children taken away. We had major setbacks where parents were incarcerated, or when they tried to bring cannabis legally bought into their states, they were also charged with possession. So it's a very difficult subject for me. So even though it's like I honor Mother's Day, there's still so much work and so much we have to give back. It's and helping people untangle from these situations they've been placed in and the stigma that comes with that still.
Wait, Chandra. This is the problem that I have had because, well, first of all, I've been smoking since I was 19. I'm 77. Okay. And I know, and I was in the music industry for 60 years, literally.
Wow.
So I saw the difference in people that smoked weed, drank alcohol, and indulged in other drugs. The problem that I have is that people consider marijuana to be a drug.
Right.
And it is not a drug.
It isn't.
It is a herb. So that would mean that oregano,
plant medicine,
rosemary, thyme, sage, cannabis, if we can just switch that mentality, I think that we're not using the greatest tool, which is its natural qualities. Its natural qualities to calm the nervous system, to help you focus. Because people will say, well, if I smoke, I get violent. Well, what are you smoking? Because
they're on spice. They're not on. That's that's synthetic.
But it's a mentality.
It is, but
it's a mentality that wait a minute, Dawn, that we have to focus on, even if we only took the rest of this year and only put the message out that it's a plant.
Yep.
It's a natural plant that comes out of the earth.
Yep.
And if we could, like in your commercials, Michael.
Yes.
If you just said, hey, it's a plant. It's not a chemical.
Right.
It's not chemically produced. It's a natural plant.
So go ahead, Dawn.
That's what I was going to say. Like the biggest thing that we're missing. Well, there's a couple of things I think that are proponents of why this is not happening as quickly as it should, right? We've got a lot of men in power, specifically white men in power, that sit there and they don't understand, but they want to control, right? So we have that side of the fence. But there's the education that's lacking on the plant medicine side of it. The plant has an endocannabinoid. The brain has an ecocannabinoid. Sorry, the receptors, right? I have them reversed. But there's a reason that they work together. And I've said this for many, many, many years. I grew up around the plant. My dad was a grower, so he explained to me a lot of that. So learning and educating myself about the plant medicine has always been something that I felt was very important. The problem is we got into an era where people were getting out of control, right? So when we look at in the late 60s and the 70s, the whole hippie movement and Nixon and all of that, then you had the proliferation into the war on drugs with the Reagan era, where it was a control, right? It was the government looking to control a type of people and keeping a suppression down on that. I mean, we all grew up and we all saw what was happening in our inner city communities and what was happening. People tended, who were not involved specifically with it, kind of look the other way, and that's where the problem is. So now we have to go back, and we can't undo what was done, but we can now educate on what was done, why it was done, and how we move it forward. And I agree, Mama Dukes, I agree with you on that. We need to educate people. We need to start telling people this is a plant medicine. It is no different than when you look at something like basil or oregano, or oh my God, can you tell I spend a lot of time with European people? Oregano, and I call gas petrol. Don't mind me, but it's one of those things when we get into this, we're lacking this substance in the education, and I'm seeing it quite a bit now. It's kind of rearing its head again. We saw it 15 years ago in the cannabis with the whole green rush, right? Big money coming in, making a lot of big money. And now we have people who are suffering and not being able to make their money because we're seeing overtaxation. We're seeing a suppression again of the plant medicine from the industry. So as there's a reason that a mother is called a mother. It's a life-giving, right? It's, there's a reason why the clones are called children, because that mother, they came from that mother. When we look at that and we educate people, I feel like we need to go back to the basis roots of this, no pun intended. But it's those roots, the balling of those roots, the extension, they're consistently trying to reach out to make connections with other mothers and other plants. It's what Mother Earth was built on, right? Trees, mushrooms, cannabis.
However, Dawn, we omit a very important aspect of the control of this substance.
Yes.
We do that subconsciously out of fear.
Yes.
Okay, now, listen to what I'm going to say. In the 60s, the problem with weed was it made people peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a militaristic country that earns a greater part of its GDP. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I always get that wrong. From war.
You're right.
When these people, the hippies, which I was one of, I was a flower child.
My mom and dad were also.
when they smoked, they didn't want to kill people.
Yeah.
They went, his father was in Vietnam. And what happened? You heard of Agent Orange?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They were giving the soldiers real chemical drugs to make them kill.
Yep.
But the marijuana stopped that. And that is what they were concerned about.
Yep.
It really wasn't even taxation at the time. It was that the plant makes you peaceful.
Yep.
And they can't have that.
Right.
And so where we are right now is a very difficult place because they still want war.
Mm-hmm. Fear.
So they're going to push back on this as much as possible. So the second argument is that the state of Colorado tripled its GDP in 1 year from legalizing marijuana.
Yep.
So you have two arguments that are viable and that people who are rational and can think logically can get.
Right.
And that needs to be the focus of your marketing.
Yep.
Well, I will say this. Why would the federal government want a state to be almost as powerful economically as the whole country?
Well, that's a good question.
Correct. Right.
So everything is done by design. And I think that there's a lot of intentionality behind these actions. And it's not a question if they're educated. Of course they're educated.
Yeah.
It's about the motive and the intent.
And they smoke weed too.
Yes, they do.
Oh yeah.
No, they do harder stuff. Okay?
Yeah, I'm thinking they're more of a little bit of a cocaine addiction.
If they smoke, hold on, Doc. Go ahead, Dr. Chandra. Go ahead, Dr. Chandra.
I'm not going to go there with our government. But what I'm saying is that they are highly educated and they know really the benefits of the plant. But how are they making money from legalizing it? It's no benefit to them. And why would they want to bring that power to a certain, group of individuals? The truth is, they're still not bringing it to minorities. This power play has nothing to do with us. We're less than 10% still of ownership. We don't have a say on what's going on here. So, and we haven't been able to get substantial criminal justice reform. And we are hoping that our leaders will tie some points of legalization in with criminal justice reform because of the impact it's had on our communities and our people. And it's just, how can we do it? So, the platform that I've always led with in how to undo the wrongs that have been done to our community was to go in and to open up programs, medical programs first, as broad as possible so that people had some innate state protections. And then with that, the next thing to do is to make sure you have a strong medical program, decriminalization, and then going into your pardonings and expunging records. And, if I were to tell you what my next step would be after all of that, which I've done in multiple states, it would be to now challenge voting rights. If my records are expunged and I have been pardoned for my offenses, a lot of these states that are red would turn blue. And then that's when you would see a dynamic power force come to light. And we have to do it incrementally. We can't do it overnight. And we're in the position that we're set back now. And I think that instead of, causing all these triggers with the current administration because our voices won't be heard, it's a time to really regroup and think about what our plan will be in the future. And as you can tell, that, we're not powerless. I mean, we are, but we need to just be able to have a systematic strategy that makes sense for our community and not these individualized attacks. And that's why a lot of our, I think, national and even state level policies have been changed, because there's like 10 different groups giving 10 different messages on implementing 10 different laws around the cannabis plan. And we're just not uniform. And what has it done? It's started to destroy our industry.
Right.
Businesses are folding. Businesses are owed so much money in taxes. They're not paying their bills. It's all these things that are happening because we don't have a unified voice. And unfortunately, they win again. But this is the time for us to think about how to collectively come together. And our community voice is different from a MSO voice. A MSO has a totally different game plan, a strategy to strengthen their position. And when it comes to us in our community, we don't have the same positioning. And I think that once we realize that we need to do what's best for us, which is legalization, period, then really we have some protections, some really innate protections. Yes, it's great for rescheduling, descheduling. That's all great. I mean, States Acts 2.0, safe banking. But why aren't we really targeting legalization? It's because most groups don't want legalization so they can continue to have the monopoly on the cannabis industry.
Yep,
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah, yeah.
And what is the cannabis community? It's always been founded on being a community. It's why back in the day, growers were collectives. They worked together. It was a common goal. We've been separated by the statism of it, and I agree with you on that. I think when I say education, I think realistically that's really the term that I wanted to mean, was more community-based ideology. We need to get back to what this plant medicine does, how it affects the communities as a whole. And it does, it empowers, right? We know that. And when you look at the powers that be, when you get communities that come together, they talk, they self educate, they build a stronghold together. You don't want strength in numbers. You want people to be separated. And again, that fear based that Mama Dukes was saying is the same thing. If we lead by fear, then people tend to become they get more separate. We're seeing this right now. We're 100 plus days into this presidency that we've got going on, and it's been fear mongering. It's been the separation. The group. There's nothing community based. I'm not a super religious person. I'm going to put this out there. I'm not a very super religious person. I think religion has its own set of issues as well. But I watched this Pope get voted in, and his first message was, we need to stop all of the moving of pieces and the lying and the distrust and the fear. And I said, I literally said to one of my mother-in-law's friends that in the message that was released out by the first message by this new Pope Leo or whatever, I felt like there was a light in some of this darkness that we're seeing, right? And aside from the religious side of it, it might be that ultimate David and Goliath situation that, we're all familiar with. And so I think that Dr. C, what you're saying is that that's the same thing. If we can take this time while everybody else is fighting their own personal battles, that we regroup as a community, think about how powerful we'll be in 1 year, 2 year, 3 years time.
It's so true.
Yeah. It's going to be a nice little path to take. It's going to be a journey to get to where we want to be. But we're starting that now with creating a cohort with the Cannabis Justice Equity Initiative with Terrence Coffey, right? So Joe went crazy and came up with the curriculum already for the POS side of it. And I was like, wow, Don, that was impressive. Greg is working on it. So what we're doing is we're introducing people that are interested in getting into technology and in security.
Right.
Right. And we have these one conversation led to two cohorts. So
the cool thing about that too, though, is think about it. People who are currently serving time for the 3 strikes rule or what have you, that are in jail currently serving time for nonviolent drug offenses, especially under the cannabis plant, if we can get them released, part of the conditional stuff is that they can't work with the plant, which really stinks. But if you get into the ancillary side of it, where the technology comes into place, you can still work in the industry, education, security. If you can come out and still work in the industry, that, once the expungement happens, because then when the expungement happens, then you can do what you need to, want to do. But, it does open up another door, because let's be real. And I've said this a gazillion times. We are, as a community right now, still making money on the backs of people who are serving time for nonviolent drug offenses. So we have to prepare for that.
Yeah, Terrence Coffey is, he's really adamant about setting up these programs that are geared towards people having a chance to find a career. And we need more trade programs anyway, as opposed to college. Most of the people don't want to go to college. They would prefer to learn.
Or they can't afford it because it's so expensive now in the privatization of it.
Right. So we're making an effort to create these cohorts and also be able to do something even bigger. I've always wanted to have like a cannabis academy. One side is the growing and horticulture, the other side is the ancillary, and there's so much you can do with that.
Hey, look at what happened in public. People got tired of the public school system, and you either had public or private, and a lot of people couldn't afford to do the private side of it. And then you get the charter programs that come in where you can do a homeschooling environment, things like that. Kids were excelling. My 2 older, I have 3 children. My 2 older were part of the public school system, and then the younger one, my youngest, he went through the charter program and excelled amazingly. So for him, he had more choices, he had more opportunity. Why couldn't we do that in the cannabis industry, building a charter program in the educational sector that allows an education? And people like Proteus and other companies that come in and say, hey, if you're looking at the technology, how do we structure this? How do we teach you? How do we get you into the technology side? How do we support you in that? Right. From securities to any type of technology, get dispensaries who are interested in teaching the way the front of the house, the bud tenders kind of are looked at, as well as the back of the house, right? Management, middle management. Then you would have a really great opportunity, because a lot of these businesses that want to be in cannabis don't understand how to run a business. And when you try to teach them, they get upset about it, because it's wrong, so giving them these tools, or the teams that they can rely on that have these tools, and the know or the wherewithal, it allows them just a much broader expansion of employees or potential employees in the future.
Well,
Oh,
oh wait, hold on.
did you mute your mom?
Oh no, wait. There was some background noise. I thought it was coming from her. Hold on, Mom. Hold on. Go ahead. Turn on your thing again. How do I do it? Oh no! Oh no! I got it back. I got you back. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Gotcha. So wait a minute. So everyone, as you can see, we're on the podcast today. I'm with three great, beautiful ladies: Dawn Morris, Produce 420, Dr. Shonda Macias of Women Grow, and my goddess, one half of the Trinity, Holy Mother, my mom, Dr. Joan Renee Cartwright, who happens to use Mama Dukes now. You need to delete that. All right. But go ahead, Mom. What were you going to say?
Okay. The first thing, rather than recreate the wheel, how can you collaborate with horticultural departments at universities? Okay. The second question is, would my 6 keys for success for women in music fit the cannabis entrepreneur? And those 6 things are branding, marketing, teamwork, negotiation. I missed one. No, branding, marketing, teamwork, networking, negotiation, and accounting. Those are the 6 keys to success for any entrepreneur. But would this fit into the horticultural departments of universities?
Yes, they would.
So
Donna,
there is one college currently right now on the East Coast that is a 4-H horticultural, which is Delaware Valley University in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. They actually have a horticultural class for cannabis on the hemp side, and learning how the plant is how it's grown. So from the cultivation side, again, I agree. It's a great start.
Well, we have that here in New York State.
Oh, okay.
So the SUNY and City University and state universities are already involved in that.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
All right. And Medgar Evers was the first college, City University to start. Then Kingsborough followed, then Lehman. So they're all falling into place. The problem is that there are students coming into college and they don't see the cannabis industry as a viable, place to have a career at this time. It's too new. It's just too new. So you hit them on ancillaries. So that way they'll have a backup: law, any money, accounting, finance, horticulture. Okay. Yeah. And believe me, I've met students that want to specialize in agriculture and horticulture. When I tell them I have farm tours, they do internships. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can arrange that.
That's awesome.
I can get a dozen students to go to 3 different farms, stay for specific times of harvest season, of the
Mhm.
growing season, right? It's because you have three parts of the growing season. And the first part is planting. Second part is maintaining vegetation. Third part is flowering into harvest,
Yes.
right? So, and then there's a fourth part, curing, learning how to cure. So they either have an option to come up with an internship program where a student can stay the whole freaking the whole season, or they do parts.
Right.
Okay, which would be about 6 weeks at a time, right? Because outdoor growing season is very, very small time. Indoor, it's 24/7,
Perpetual, yeah.
perpetual. So you can have. That's what I love about the cannabis industry. I got to tell you, I just don't see this generation failing. If they really do it right and pay attention, they could develop wealth that is we would dream of. Okay. It's
Good,
the
because
only
when we go into our homes, when they have to put us in homes for our diapers and to be fed,
Mhm.
they have to be able to afford it.
Meals in about 10 minutes.
Yeah. No, but the thing about it is that it's the one commodity outside of water, or you said it, Mom, liquid, gold, necessities and commodities that you can constantly flip. You can constantly flip.
Right.
You can constantly flip. So what the young people are having a problem with when it comes to getting certified or getting their degrees in cannabis is that they just don't see an industry there yet.
Right.
Now, in the medical and the more professional settings, yes. All right. But you have to, the teachers that are teaching those professional courses have to incorporate the guidelines, the regulations into their syllabus if they're going to specialize in the cannabis industry.
And a lot of times those teachers don't understand it.
Right. So then they have to hire these professionals that have these credentials and degrees specifically for cannabis. Then on the health and welfare side of it, health and wellness side of it, oh my God, it's huge.
But
It's
there's
huge.
another thing that you are looking at it because you go to the dispensary, but supply chain is literally a new field of study in the university. But let me rewind back to 1968 when none of you were on this planet.
I was here.
I was almost here. I was born in 69.
Okay. So I studied communication. Communication used to be in the English department. It was not a department of its own. Fast forward to 1990, and I went for my master's in communication, which is now a department. However, and I am feeding back. I don't know why.
Yeah, just turn down your volume.
Okay. However, I studied mass communication, but it was not linked with television and radio department production. So the what I'm trying to say is the academy didn't have the right idea about communication.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you link that to what's going on right now, Michael talks about the ancillary industries. But when you say that, you are separating out the effect of the law on cannabis growing, the effect of the cannabis on the health of people. So we're going to rewind now back to the 1500s when the people that were indigenous to this land used to smoke the peace pipe, and they called it rabbit tobacco. Okay. So if we can make that link that the idea of cannabis has been around for millennia, not just centuries, millennia, and it is only though, and I don't want to say white, it is the European ideology that stymied the production of the herb that made people peaceful.
Yep, you're right.
Well, I got to
Michael,
tell you, Mom,
you're a historian.
yeah,
You need
I mean,
to make that link.
Yeah.
I agree, because for being on this planet for so long, Mom, especially since the 1500s, I have to tell you, like, what we need to do is, yes, remember the past and kind of connect it, but we are pushing to educate those that love the plant and those that don't, and those in the middle, the benefits. I work with Green Spectrum, so they have amazing products, tinctures and gummies and chocolates. And there are others. Jenny loves me. Oh my God, Jenny has amazing chocolates. There's so many brands.
Oh, her edibles are bomb.
What the hell? Gordy's Goodies.
Yeah. Another
Ooh,
set of edibles that are amazing.
wow.
Those
Wow.
chocolate chip cookies you sent me.
Yeah, well, that was 4 years ago, and I'll send you some
But
more.
they're still on my tongue.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. But like, these brands focus not on getting high. They focus on you being able to balance yourself and have a great, how can I say it? A day, being able to handle your anxieties, your depression, stay focused. So, and what I love about the people that are processing our cannabis, our medicine, is that they're very dedicated to giving you high quality, products and services. And that's what I love about the state of New York. That's what I love about the state of New York. But all of that, now we're getting into a segment where we
jump in here.
No,
I just want to jump in 1 second. So, Dr. John, you're so right in what you said. So my MBA is in supply chain management, and what we're saying in all sectors that, when we divide, we're not strong enough. And so I heard you loud and clear saying that ancillary shouldn't be ancillary. They should be a part of the core messaging because they're just as important and integral as plant touching businesses, but we tend to treat them differently and separate them out, where that's the same thing we saw with the communications department. We put them all in a silo and they could have all connected to a bigger message. And now we're getting to that message that communication or mass communication is radio, TV, film, it's journalism, it is all these different things that have to do with all types of communication and media. And so, with us not learning from what our past and the leaders of our past and not following some of the same rules and guidelines, we're taking ourselves down a path which will probably come back up in the same way that media did, meaning that we will go back ultimately to housing them under one umbrella. And I agree with that message very loud and clear, because ancillary is really not ancillary when you think about the only difference between ancillary and plant touching is the 280E tax law. We're all the same. What impacts us impacts ancillary. Plant touching impacts ancillary. Ancillary impacts us. It impacts marketing, PR. It impacts accounting. It impacts real estate. And the more that we try to split up these silos and put them in different departments, or not to recognize that we're all one united front, then that is the disinterest that we are continuing to do to our community. And that's why I said in the beginning, we are so disjointed at this point because we have so many realms of leadership that want to do things this way, do things that way. We have probably, like I said, 10 communities of cannabis policy, workers out there, lobbyists trying to change policy to what they think is best for their individual motives. And that's why we're not winning. And that message right there, what you said, is sometimes you need to listen to those that really understand, not necessarily in cannabis, but in business. And you executed that very well. But the issue is that not only in our community, but in our world, is that they don't respect our education. And especially if it comes out of a Black woman's mouth.
No, Michael has the opportunity to create a speakers bureau of experts from the hands-on and the ancillary communities to, okay, we're always talking about monetizing stuff, but it's more about having a team of people that are thinking and going in the same direction, that they work together on their speeches, what they're speaking about. I taught public speaking for 6 years, and I know that people don't know how to construct a speech. Michael, why are we only seeing you?
Mike.
Hey, I'm on a podcast. Can you give me a minute?
Oh.
Go ahead.
We only see you. So, it's just your lovely face.
Yeah, where did the rest of us go? So, in other words, Dr. Chandra, who needs to meet Craig Lee, because I want to know, why isn't the state of Louisiana legal? Do you know?
Oh, yeah.
So what's the answer?
What is the benefit to the state
Hold on,
of Louisiana?
everybody. I'll be right with you.
Okay, go ahead, Chandra, tell me.
No, what is the benefit to the state of Louisiana to make it legal?
All right.
Well, the first benefit is to stop criminalizing people that use it. That's the first thing.
And let me address that. If the prison system is generating $40 billion a year in locking up African Americans, why would they want to let them out of Angola?
Modern day slavery.
That's it. I mean, again, it's a reason for all these things they're not stupid. They know what is the things that need to be done. They don't want to do it because it doesn't benefit them.
The prison systems as a whole being privatized is a big issue in and of itself.
Michael, stop verbalizing. Fix it, but don't verbalize. Okay, so how do we change the minds of people that want to incarcerate other people for a nonviolent act?
And that's why I said earlier, it goes with policy change.
Policy.
It's the policy. If the government, the state government, or the federal government doesn't change these policies, there's no way we can enforce anything. That's why I focus on
policy comes from the people. Policy comes from the constituents.
Yes.
So has there ever been a resolution to legalize marijuana on the election ballot?
So what the process has been done is the kind of what I said earlier, is that the first thing is to do is decriminalize it so that you can get a ticket for it, but you won't go to prison. Right. So decriminalizing is the first step. The second step is then to get the records, first pardons, and then to get the records expunged. And then when you go from there, you can start to expand medical policies, and then adult use comes in typically. It's like a systematic way that I have been doing it from state to state. But in places like Louisiana, where they sell the most amount of alcohol, when I introduce policy, they already have a long relationship with lobbyists that work for tobacco, alcohol, and pharmaceutical that just, they don't vote our way. They have different interests. And so until you change those policymakers, you're not going to change the state of the cannabis industry. And that's why you have to focus on advocacy along with business development and along with, career development, like we said here. It's a three-pronged approach. And if we ignore one over the other, we still systemically do not progress. So it doesn't matter if you have the best business and you still are taxed at 280E and you're not viable, and then people are getting arrested for having legal product. It's counterintuitive.
Right. Even on the medical side, even if you have, like, I know Louisiana has approved medical, the limitations on what and how you can access it are very limited. I know because we're in Louisiana, our system's in Louisiana, and so, but I think the problem is, and it's what most people think, they think that they have to go to the president first, but change happens locally. So you've got to get the people voting for the people who are willing to make the change, who are going to stop proliferating a lot of the longevity in the House and Congress and senators. We're generational, right? So these are the ones where, when they get tobacco and alcohol and big pharma, and they're lobbying directly to their pockets, and they keep them in there. And so, if you want to make the change, you've got to start at the local level. And those are things that Dr. Chandra has been doing for a very long time in these states. And so, yeah, I think having maybe that conversation with Mr. Lee and starting that, where do we build this, and how do we build the community to back us with this? But again, you have to look at these states that are pushing large amounts of alcohol and tobacco sales. And the South as a whole has very large alcohol sales and tobacco. It's pushed there, when we start kind of having those conversations of stop buying so much tobacco, stop buying alcohol, maybe we can start limiting where the money is going to, because the money's not there for them. If we can funnel it into other areas.
And the prison industrial complex.
Exactly. Oh, yes. And the privatization of that, like I said that earlier. I mean, you're literally looking at modern day slavery.
Yeah, basically. Yep.
So
yep.
Those are the conversations that have to be had. It's uncomfortable, but you have to sit in that uncomfortable before you can make that change. It is really important that these words are spoken. The problem is you get to a lot of these conferences and everybody's all happy and no one's talking about the real issues or problems. And we've got to slough off this, and we have to start having the hard talks about these.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I will tell you that's not the case.
at your conference, which I really want to attend.
Women Grows are amazing.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
going to do my best to be there. But another thing is, like Michael thinks he's an OG. Michael ain't an OG. Michael is a baby. I got some OGs we could talk to. And
Mama Dukes is calling your game.
no, no, I'm not. I didn't say that to bring him down. I'm saying that I'm from the generation that said, hey, this shit is good and we are going to do it.
Yep.
But my mother's generation, they were passing around joints too, you see, but they did it clandestinely. Now people are doing it openly.
Right.
But my point is this: think about the speakers that are coming to. You already have several of them, right?
Yeah, I mean, look.
Wait, let me finish, Michael.
Okay, go ahead.
So, Chanda, think about getting some old folks up on that stage that smoke and let them show you how this plant extends their life. Because if I hadn't been smoking weed, I would have been an alcoholic. I was a singer and I was cute. And buying me liquor was an agenda of men and women. So if I had not been a smoker, I would have been a stark alcoholic. You understand? Now, you may not think that that's a lot, but I don't look like this because I drank a lot of alcohol.
You look like that because
How do we put him on? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just stop. Just stop.
I left my essence of youth inside you.
Oh,
and make sure
that ego. Right. Chandra.
Yeah.
You see what I'm talking about.
Mom is Shonda. Shonda. There's no R in her name. It's Shonda. Shonda.
I got Shonda. Okay. And then you see, Dawn already said that she grew up in this. So look at the generations before you and come up with a panel of old heads that will talk about why they smoke. You understand? And then there are attorneys and doctors and, professionals who only smoke weed. They don't do the pharmaceuticals. I have a lot of pain in my knees, and I will take a leave maybe once a week because I don't want my liver to.
Yep.
But if I smoke a joint, I don't feel that pain.
Right.
The way that I do if I don't. You see?
Get you some limonol in there.
Yeah, and I have. Michael gives me the drops. I put them under my tongue. I take the gummy before I go to bed, and sleep like an angel, like a baby. So this product in this insane world that we're in, more people need these products.
And it's an underserved part of the community from the dispensary level and please, no disrespect, Mama Dukes, but from a senior level. And I say that as I just hit the senior age at 55. I'm like, I can order from the Denny's senior menu now, and I'm very excited about these things. But it is an underserved and underutilized in education and community, which is the aging community of the 55 plus. It's not it's not that they don't want to know. There's a lot of kind of curiosity that happens in that age bracket between 55 to 75. My mother-in-law, we've gotten her, she has really bad rheumatoid arthritis that's actually deformed her hands. We've gotten her balm that she can put on her hands that still allows her to quilt
I
because
thought
of
you
it.
said bone.
So yeah, it's just it's crazy, but we've also, given her tinctures where, she's gotten a little high and she's called us and said, "Oh my God, I think I'm high."
Well,
But they all have to experience that a little bit.
well, we have a we have a
Chandra, Michael's going to give me your number. We're going to talk.
yeah,
But Dawn, thank you for supporting him. Really.
Oh,
Of
always.
course.
Yeah.
Of
yeah,
course.
I will say that we do have a Sayuda Abraham. She's just created an organization called Silver Serenity,
That's right. Yeah.
and it's
Ooh.
for specifically 55 and older um,
Yeah.
cannabis
She was at
consumers.
the event. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So we're helping her put together her organization, getting these events she'd like to do, being part of the New York State Canna Farms tour. And developing uh, Fame Neal of Exhale Social Pro is helping her put together her brand and her
What's her
marketing.
name?
Sayuda Abraham. I'll send you her information as well. Site is SAWUDAH.
She is amazing. She's amazing.
DAT.
She has a
Yeah.
great soul. I love her. She has such a good energy about her, and I think she's
Yeah,
gonna
she
do great
does.
things with that.
She
Yeah.
does. So
I do want to say too, just just because I want to give Dr. Chandra a quick shout out. I many moons ago attended the Women Grow event, and it was in DC, and the amount of community that was brought together by the event. So I was super excited to see you guys were doing them again. I if you can get to a Women Grow, this is me as someone, I've met some of my long-term cannabis people from Women Grow and continue to still meet people where we go, "Oh my God, we met at Women Grow in DC." So it has created such a passion for not only just the plant, but again, I'll use the C word, which is community. I mean, it's knowledge. Let's drop the real knowledge and the truth, right? Yep. I love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But that's where you get it. So if you can get to a Women Grow event, trust me, it
We
will
need
be
your
one of the
ad.
most changing
We
events.
need your ad in here. We go to publish
Yes.
June 15th. And I know you
Okay.
cannot, Dawn, you cannot advertise.
Yeah, no.
But
You see,
Chandra, you can advertise your event.
I mean, I can advertise my
no, she
amazing
can
singing voice.
advertise. She can advertise. All right. Just to get off track, first off, Mom, don't be doing your marketing selling. This is not that time. This is a Mother's Day event. All right, you're
And
coming
I'm
up
the
here.
mother here.
Yeah,
And she gave
all right.
birth to you. Don't
Yeah,
gotta let her do
yeah,
her thing.
I'm not
No, but
doing
I
that.
only
You
have a
behave
month
yourself,
to
young
do it.
lady.
That's the problem.
So, but to give you an idea, you can't have actual cannabis products. You can have ancillary businesses do it. Proteus is one of them, but you can't have cannabis products. You can
Right.
promote it like I could promote the dispensary, do a commercial, but I can't show products. I can't show people smoking. I can't show this. So everything has got to be if you know, you know.
Right.
Right. For now. So, but you done took me off track from my little thing because you up here telling me, what you doing? What you doing? Now, let me tell you, like, we're gonna have a more nice, we're gonna have more of this, right? But my
You
experience with
mentioned them in your article, right?
yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So my experience with Woman Grow was last year. It was amazing. I was sad I can only stay one day, but it was amazing. We got great content. It was just great. What want our organization to do is be the main press for Every Woman's Grow. We're going to grow and blow up. I want to be there to support Dr. Shonda, because it was just, even though we had a little hiccup, it was still one of the better events. And it actually was an inspiration for how Elevate Innovate should be. You understand? So that's why I build this network. I'm not just bringing anybody in. These people have got to connect with everyone. We have to be very careful about who we bring into our circle, because not all business is good business. Not all money is good money.
Correct.
We all have to, like we just spoke earlier about the divisiveness of many organizations that want the same thing, so I want to do this slowly, nice. The next Elevate Innovate is on technical and finance. That'll be July 19th. The one in August is for health and wellness. Dr. Shonda could be there. I could set it all up online where we can have it where, if you can't make it, you can still come and spend 15, 20 minutes. And it's all at a safe dispensary location that everyone loved. Everyone loved the space. So we keep it, I'm learning to keep it, keep everything in that way conformed, but to build on that and make it more diverse, is it inclusive or exclusive? Exclusive to the community.
Inclusive exclusivity.
There you go. Because I'm only focusing on certain speakers, people that I've seen over the last 2 years really putting their time into the community, businesses that really want to focus on not just making money, but being a part of the community. So
getting people to leave their egos at the door is a very hard thing in general.
Yeah.
And that's why, even I said, I was like, I could get up here and tell you exactly what my company does, but I want to advocate. My goal is, if I can use some of the privilege that I have from being in the industry as long as I have, and being able to have some of that, it's not unknown to me, and not, it's not unseen. And so for me to be able to advocate, I am always going to be the biggest mouth in the room. I can't help it.
Let me put it this way. We will need to be in an amphitheater if we have you two in the same room.
I can project, like theater girl in me, like projection is a thing.
But we're focusing on ensuring that your message gets out. So yes, we will be promoting Music Woman and Music Man. Yes, we will be promoting Women Grow, Proteus 420, Green Spectrum, New York City Cannabis Exchange, Gordy's Goodies. We are really going to set a standard, a benchmark in our community, and not just here, but nationally and even internationally. I have people reaching out about tours from Europe, and I'm like, what?
Well, Amsterdam is the first stop.
Well, yeah, but I've heard like their government has changed a lot of laws.
They have
become more conservative.
ICBC,
I believe
Germany, Spain, but even in Spain, it's still very, you have to be involved with clubs. I know Israel has done a lot of research since the 60s, but Europe they're ahead, but they're not really so fully ahead. But getting out there to see who's making the changes in the European side of it is always going to be a learning experience.
Okay. Well, I just want to thank you ladies so much for joining us. I know you have your family to go to, those lovely children and grandchildren, and then your husbands have to take care of you afterwards. So I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day and a beautiful, beautiful evening. It's a bright and sunny day here in New York City. And my mom's in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I miss you. If you were here, you would have had a beautiful dinner. you know, and stuff like that. So whatever you eat today, just know you would have had it better. You know? I will say this, you know, in celebration of all of you. I know you've gone through life and hard times with us, and yet you have turned us into who we are today. For many that you know, even my kids, you know, my daughter is celebrating her 4th Mother's Day with my grandson. So I hope that she has the experiences she needs to continue her growth as a mother. And other than that, I thank you so much, Mom. Thank you for being there when you know, you were awesome. You did what you could. You know, I won't eat squash ever. She overdid it on the squash back in the day. Christ almighty. Are we vegetarian or are we going to eat this fucking meat? At a barbecue, why are you doing this to us? Right? She opened up my whole world to music, to, you know, not, you know, leaving the neighborhood and exploring, and that started with, I was selling seeds. You know, comic books had, you know, they would, you know, you apply and send you the seeds. And I was selling seeds in the neighborhood, and we lived in Thenodisassa, Florida at the time. And Tampa was 20 miles away. And my sister and some friends and I decided, hey, why don't we just go hitchhike to Tampa and I can get rid of these seeds? Now we're, of course, 9 and 8, you know, respectively. So anything could, we made it to Tampa, by the way. And her friends are calling them like, you know, your kids, Joan, where are you? Are you in town? We come by, stop by. And she's like, what are you talking about? Your kids are out here selling seeds. Right. Aren't you here? No. What the fuck? The ride back was so funny because they didn't know whether to whip our ass or like ingenuity, entrepreneurship. What do we do in this situation? I remember though, we had Kentucky Fried Chicken that night. So, you know, and it was good. It was good. So I have stories. And my mom did a great job. You know, she's doing a great job. Her knees hurt. I won't tell you why, because I was there a lot for those as well. She's running after me to beat me because I was a bad child. I was a bad child.
Just
now, the thing about it is, my mom is from New York, right? So she, you know, was married to her second husband, and he was from Florida and took her down to Florida. So I lived in the Bronx with my dad, and so this cultural shift from visiting mom in Florida to hold on, sorry about that, to here to Florida was a cultural, like, what the fuck? I thought she kidnapped us and took us to another planet. and you know, the cultural shift and everything there was very strange. But she got into, like, we were used to being beat with belts up north, you know, there was implements. Here she got into go get a branch off trees. And then would be like, that's not big enough. It was torture too, you know.
This is the comedy segment of the podcast.
You know, it's like, wow, what do you do raising this child who has so much energy? And she did a great job. So
truly, the doctor told me, do not give my children vitamins.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to end this now, okay? Because I love you all. No, I love you all. I want to say that it is one of the most great times to be able to have this experience with you all, to be able to focus on our future. And again, thank you, ladies, so much for being here today. I love you so much.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk.
Thank you for including me. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
God bless.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We'll talk.